Ladies and gentlemen, there is a very famous saying that all wars are a clear symptom of man's failure as a thinking animal. We have been time and again proving it. And the latest example in front of us is the Ukraine-Russian war. Very significant time we are going through. That is, we are witnessing the first anniversary of this war, which is slowly changing the geopolitical situation of the world. There are certain important players in this whole drama, and we cannot ignore our share in this particular geopolitical situation. Or rather, we can say we are one of the important players in this game. I will come to the situation a little more clarified in the next few minutes. Right now, I would like to say that rather than celebrating this anniversary, we are actually mourning over it. This invasion started as a special operation, as Putin put it forward 1 year before, and everybody thought it is going to be a very short affair of maybe maximum 1 week. That is how Ukraine is going to survive this war against the mighty Russians. The country has got the biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads. However, as you have witnessed, it got escalated into a war which is now having complete 1 year completed. Now you see what has happened, what is the output, and what has now happened to the world. As you are all probably, I am actually speaking to the defense aspirants. So as a defense aspirant, basically, you should be more interested in the geopolitical situation emerging like a kaleidoscope, changing its design every day, because every month, if you review the situation, you would see the whole geopolitical situation has changed and the posture taken by the countries also have changed. Now, if you look at firstly the Russian stand, as a defense analyzing, which I am doing right now, you also will agree that Putin was worried about the safety and security of Russia first. Now, his major concern was that his neighboring countries, which also had Russian population, moving towards the NATO treaty. He wanted to avoid the Black Sea area coming under the NATO umbrella. You will also agree with me, suppose say the same thing happens with Americans. Imagine Russians having a defense treaty and a war of protection over Mexico, which is on the border. Do you think the Americans are going to take it lightly? They would have fought with tooth and nail. But when it comes to Russia, now Americans become as they are the big brother of the world today, the whole world is with them, unfortunately. So I'm not trying to say Russia, what they are doing is fair, because every country, freedom and independence is a very important aspect. Democracy needs to be protected. India being the largest democracy in the world, and especially when we are presiding over the G20 in this year, we have a solemn duty to protect another democracy from any invasion of a dictator kind of personality. However, we have to see both the aspect of this picture. Now, if you see, this war has escalated to be the biggest geopolitical war happened in this century after the Second World War. Now, see the roles of major players, you will also understand, you have to see in a different perspective altogether. Finland wanted to join the NATO. Sweden is also wanting to join the NATO, but the decision was not taken earlier because Turkey was against Finland joining the NATO forces. Ukraine was very keen to join because they thought probably that the NATO umbrella or the protection would be the best thing to do. Now imagine Ukraine being such a rich country when compared to the other European or Asian European countries, Central European countries. It would have been better if they had a better understanding with the Russians because the Donbass area, which is now being annexed by Russians, has got a very huge Russian population. Precisely what happened with Crimea, there is a spillover of Russians in this area also. I also feel when you look at the whole perspective that Putin never wanted to capture Ukraine 100%, but only wanted the Donbass area where the Russians are a majority to be liberated and kept with them, and to have a kind of understanding the way they are having with other countries like Belarus. However, if you look at the initial diplomatic issues which has emerged in the area, there is a very strong news now which the former premier of Israel has also had come up and said that he was about to brokerage a mediation between both these countries, and Putin was very much inclined to have a mediation and ready to have a ceasefire, only with the conditions that wanting an assurance that Ukraine will not join the NATO. He wanted an assurance from. And even if you look at this, those time, Zelensky also has said that he is ready for a compromise. But the whole situation got boomeranged, rather torpedoed by US. If you understand the geopolitical situation, now it emerges that Americans never wanted this war to end. And it was getting escalated. There are many proofs which has come up later. You will find that they have been instigating Putin many times, not allowing any other country to mediate. Rather, India is also in a good position to mediate right now between the NATO countries and US and also with Russia. We are also in a good position to mediate, but it is not happening because there is a kind of conspiracy, kudita, that the war should not end and Russia should be weakened. Now, as you all know, after the Cold War, Americans made a monopoly of the world supremacy and it has become a unipolar world. And they are feeling right now the heat coming from this area, that is Russia, with an alliance with China, could be again threatening their unipolar position, which is a fact. And the world is slowly moving towards a bipolar world again. That is what happened with this war. This is a forebringer of that. Now, you look at the position of China, you will find that in this whole game, China is emerging as a superpower because Americans are also getting weaker to some extent. Their money is getting pumped out here. NATO countries are also pumping now with their weapons. The tanks are coming now, right? And also, even Zelensky is now asking for even fighter planes. The war is now getting into the second phase, which is going to be more fierce probably. That is what the general calculations coming up to. More missile systems, more drones, more other weaponaries, including long-range missile systems and tanks. Everything is moving in. Leopard tanks are coming. Poland is giving them tanks, and Americans are also giving them tanks. So the situation is now getting murkier, and this year is going to be a very, very crucial year for the world as such. Now, that is where, if you look at it, India, with its very unique position of not really joining both the sides of this geopolitical game, we are a very big player. In fact, we are the most important player in this whole game. And I appreciate our government to take a stand and say strong that we have our own interest to protect rather than joining basically the NATO and American group because they wanted and put little pressure on us, but they knew that we are not going to be plying. We have our own reasons. One major reason, as you all know, Russia is a very old ally and a friend. When Americans were supplying arms to Pakistan, those times, good old times, that's the time Russians gave us the required weapons and other backups also to fight our war also. And you have seen our most of our weaponry those times came from Russia. We are heavily dependent on our military warfare, military hardware over the Russians. And you will be very happy to know, slowly with this Make in India giving stress on defense production, we're slowly coming out to become self-reliant on our defense productions. And especially with the integrated missile systems, where the DR2 has designed, most of our missile systems, we are coming out, especially the air defense systems, we had a 80% dependency on Russian air defense equipments. But now we are slowly coming out of this dependency, and that's a very great advantage what we are now looking at. Now, look at what is happening with the Chinese. You will see that China as a onlooker and racing fast towards to become the superpower, trying to beat the Americans on this race. They have given great support to the Russians, and now if you see, Biden has come to Ukraine, and the first concern he projected is if China gives weapons now to Russia, it is not going to be the same because the whole situation can get murkier. So he had given a warning, but China, of course, they got their own axe to grind. You all know that the US speaker, she had come to Taiwan, and also she was trying to, rack up the stress and strain between both countries in those days. So you will find that the whole world scenario, the peace is at stake. The order of the world is changing. And this is where India has got a very important role to play right now. India has been walking over a tightrope in the last 1 year, managing both sides very, very diplomatically and cleverly. But I feel this year is going to be a more tighter walk for India. But India had its own benefits. Our crude oil import was only 2% earlier. Right now it is almost 25%. And we are in a very great advantage because of that, because we are now refining that crude oil and exporting to Europe, which is now they are in a critical situation as far as the crude oil and gas is concerned. We are here maybe probably I expect that in the coming time, maybe in this year only, India would be looked up by both these countries, rather I would say both these blocks now, because now the complete war is going to be getting into a more block form. And we are in a position to negotiate and find a compromise. And that is the day we will be also having a very unique position in the world order. I hope you all should keep understanding the situation, and as the days progress, it may move out. It can reel out of control. It can go in a tailspin in the coming days. It's all wait and see. It's going to be uh, a very critical time for the world to go through this. Thank you. This is I will come with more of my analysis in the coming days. Thank you. Good.